Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to another Explainer, where we take a hard, honest look at the data shaping our near future. Today, we're unpacking some massive, visionary, and frankly kind of terrifying predictions from Elon Musk for the year 2036. I mean, what actually happens if our blistering pace of technological acceleration just doesn't slow down? Let's figure it out. To really wrap our heads around 2036, we actually need to look just a tiny bit closer to home. Right now, experts are predicting that in just 5 years, artificial intelligence is going to surpass humans in almost all intellectual tasks. Just let that sink in for a second. Literally every job, every task that requires thinking, it's going to be done faster and better by a machine. You've got to ask yourself, what does your daily life look like when the only unique thing you bring to the table is just being biological? Because honestly, everything else is about to be totally outpaced. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive paradigm shift. Right now, we're all sort of mesmerized by digital intelligence, right? Software and AI models operating on our screens, generating text, spitting out images. But the actual real game changer is taking that digital brain and transferring it into physical intelligence. We're talking about millions of humanoid robots taking AI and applying it directly to real-world tasks. It's that exact moment when digital intelligence literally steps out of the server farm and starts physically interacting with our environment. We're already seeing the very early signs of this with autonomous cars and early robotics. Now, when you smash together superhuman digital AI with a literal army of physical robots, you arrive at this stunning, almost utopian concept, a nearly infinite economy. Think about it. If you have millions of AI-driven robots that can do limitless physical labor, manufacture goods, and provide services 24/7 without breaking a sweat, our whole fundamental concept of resource scarcity, it just completely vanishes. Imagine the sheer contrast between our everyday struggles with inflation today versus a future where the global economy is so ridiculously massive that physical goods are basically available to everyone. Which brings up a wildly fascinating question for us to chew on. What actually happens to money when scarcity disappears? At its core, money is just a tool, right? A tool we use to manage the deficit of goods and services. But what if a boundless production system can pump out way more than humanity could ever even consume? By 2036, the basic need to track the cost of a loaf of bread or a pair of shoes could just be entirely erased. Our traditional economic models of buying, selling, and profit, they'd fundamentally break down and morph into something we've never seen before. So the crucial point is, getting to that utopian abundance means we first have to survive a major existential bottleneck. And that brings us to the chimpanzee analogy. Musk makes this great point. Humans are the results of primate evolution. Our ancestors were swinging in trees, and now we run the whole planet. We wouldn't exactly let a chimpanzee dictate our tax laws, right? So if a super intelligent AI surpasses our brainpower by the same massive leap that we surpass chimps, expecting to keep them on a leash is highly, highly improbable. The entire power dynamic flips completely upside down. To anchor this massive philosophical danger with some hard measurements, we just need to look at the calculated risk. The estimated probability that this rapid AI run-up actually leads to the end of humanity. It's currently sitting at an alarmingly high 10 to 20%. I mean, that is definitely not zero. And sure, industry leaders recognize that every civilization eventually faces its twilight, but our immediate, absolute top priority right now is navigating this very real double-digit probability of total disaster. So what's actually keeping this runaway train in check right now? Believe it or not, it's not a lack of engineering talent or some wall in software algorithms. It all comes down to physical resources. The three core bottlenecks holding AI back are computing power, getting our hands on modern chips, and electricity. And electricity is fast becoming the absolute weakest link in the chain. These modern AI accelerators chew through a staggering amount of power, and we're literally struggling to build power plants fast enough to feed these massive new data centers. And this resource bottleneck, it's actively reshaping the global energy race. If you look at the data, China already generates more electricity than the US, Europe, and India combined. If that trajectory holds up, their energy output is going to scale to roughly 4 times that of the United States. And this is huge, because that massive energy capacity, paired with their manufacturing base, is exactly how Chinese labs are building highly efficient models, like a Kimi 3. They're achieving crazy good results with way fewer computing resources, essentially bypassing those modern chip restrictions. They're even pushing this into physical AI, hosting literal robot fighting competitions, where these machines keep completing complex tasks even after taking heavy physical damage. Because this tech is accelerating so aggressively, There is a very specific, detailed instruction proposed for how we safely apply and release these new models, and it comes with exact measurements of time. This was actually debated with industry heavyweights like Google DeepMind's Demis Hassabis. Here's how it works. Step 1. A lab creates a breakthrough AI model. Step 2. They take that model and hand it directly over to their competitors for exactly 1 to 2 weeks of independent, focused testing. Step 3. If those competing experts find critical risks during that measured window, public release gets slammed with a delay until the defects are completely patched. This protocol is designed to be run by the engineers in the trenches, not government officials, because, let's be real, the builders understand the nuts and bolts of these models far better than regulators do. It essentially turns fierce market competition into a built-in safety net. Taking that concept of collaboration a step further, global AI cooperation isn't just some nice-to-have diplomatic idea. It's structurally mandatory. Obviously, there's intense geopolitical rivalry out there, but the existential risks tied to artificial general intelligence are just too massive for any single nation to handle alone. Across the board, the consensus in the data is that joint action between global powers, specifically getting American companies and the largest Chinese laboratories on the same page, is an absolute prerequisite for keeping humanity safe. Basically, if an expert on one side of the globe spots a critical threat, both governments absolutely must work together to contain it. Yet finding that level of collaboration, even within our own domestic industry, is causing some major friction at the absolute top. The core structural shift driving this whole debate is the transition from an open nonprofit model, which you'll remember was the original collaborative dream for AI safety, over to a closed commercial model, where market realities and chasing massive valuations take the front seat. This shift is the exact root of Musk's ongoing criticism of OpenAI's new structure. At the same time, though, he's actively praising teams like Anthropic and their CEO, Dario Amodei. He sees them as genuinely concerned about the future and keeping a really tight focus on safety above all else. So, to actually navigate all of this safely, there is a paramount, non-negotiable strategy. We literally have to hard code 3 foundational values into the very core of all new AI applications. Value number 1. A fundamental drive to seek the truth. Number 2, boundless curiosity about the universe. And number 3, which is probably the most crucial, a core interest in human well-being. If we can successfully bake these 3 values in as the absolute rock-solid baseline for all AI development, our chances of actually landing in that utopian future go up exponentially. Which leaves us with this incredibly provocative thought to chew on. Are we prepared to manage a technology that outpaces our own evolution? Think about it. We're standing right on the edge of a jump from our biological intelligence into a nearly infinite physical robot economy. This technology isn't stopping, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, so our only real path forward is to intensely focus on mitigating those risks, forcing cooperation across borders, and building toward that infinite abundance. They'll subscribe to AI Vanguard AI to stay at the cutting edge of industrial AI. Thumbs up if you found this synthesis valuable. Please like, comment, and share. We really have to keep this conversation going because the next 10 years are going to change absolutely everything about our world. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with us, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, ask yourself, are you ready for the infinite economy?